The subject of this talk is the problem that we have in all measurements in echocardiography, and you will understand why our school of echo favors eyeballing than measurements. In this normal or bell-shaped curve of measurements performed in a normal group, we have here the maximal value and the minimal value. In a curve like that is considered normal values those that are within 2 standard deviations above the mean to 2 standard deviations below the mean. 95% of the population are under these values. If in this curve we're saying that the mean plus 2 standard deviation comes to this value, this is what we consider as the maximal normal value, even knowing that 2.5 of this normal group are above this value. Same reasoning for the minimal normal value. Now let's consider the anteroposterior diameter of a normal left atrium in a population. Let's say that the mean value of this measurement is 3 centimeters. The maximal normal value is 4 centimeters and the minimal 2 centimeters. However, when you're studying a patient, you're not studying a population. You are studying one single patient. That is the big problem with measurements. For instance, let's say that we are studying a patient who has a left atrial measurement of 2 centimeters. Normal. Or let's say his LA measurement is 2.5 centimeters. Also normal. Or even that he has a left atrial measuring 3 centimeters, right in the mean of the group. Don't forget that half of the totality of the population would be under these values. Now let's see this hypothetical patient that had, listen it well, I said had, a left atrial measuring 3 centimeters right at the mean value of normal some years ago, but no one knew its value. He did not have any pathology at that time, never had an echocardiogram, just like any patient that comes for the first echo study. But now he has a mitral regurgitation and his left atrium started to enlarge. When his left atrium went from 3 centimeters to 3.5 centimeters, his left atrium is already enlarged. Imagine now that he had a 2 centimeters to begin with. When his left atrium increased to 3 centimeters, he has already a significant enlargement of the left atrium, but he is now in the mean of a normal group. If you are seeing this patient for the first time, his LA size would be at the mean of the normal group, but it's enlarged already, and pretty much enlarged. Or if the same patient who had a LA of 2 centimeters comes for the first time and you find a left atrium measuring 4 centimeters, if you follow the guidelines, you cannot say this patient has an enlarged left atrium, since his left atrium is still under normal values. But is there any doubt that this patient has an enlarged left atrium, but it's not above the upper limit of the population? But we do not study population, we study a single patient. Another example, one patient who 1 year ago had a normal left atrium of 4 centimeters, never had an echo exam, no pathology then, but now comes with a left atrium measuring 4.2 centimeters, just 2 millimeters beyond the upper limit, and now you are going to say his left atrium is enlarged. And by all means, you're going to say that his left atrium, measuring 4.2 centimeters, is much enlarged than the left atrium, measuring 4 cm of that patient who had an initial left atrium of 2 cm, but is still under the normal limits. This is the problem. But people say, aha, but this is the diameter of the left atrium. If the measurement were the volume, this wouldn't happen. No, 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 we would be in the same situation. If you understand this, you're gonna see that we are going to be in the same situation. See here, left atrial volume. Same situation. How is it established, the normal volume of the left atrium? Again, in a large population of normal, we see that the population has left atrial measuring from 29 milliliters to 69 milliliters, with a mean of 45 milliliters. Does it solve the problem? Sure not. If some patient had a 29 milliliters of LA and no echo at that time, and now has mitral regurgitation and presents for his first echo and was found to have 45 milliliters LA, he sure has an enlarged LA, but he's still in the normal mean. Do we have to wait until it's higher than 69 milliliters to say it's enlarged? But people say, aha, but as any cavity measurements, we'd have to index it to the bud surface area. My goodness, does it solve the problem? Here it is, LA volume index. Normal values in a population, same thing, is a normal group. It goes from 14 to 33 milliliters per square meter of surface area, with a mean of 22 milliliters. That's it. No matter which method you use for the measurement, you will have the same spread in values. And if you wait to identify an abnormal value only if it is higher than a specific number, you may often be mistaken. Then, since you never know which was the size of the measured structure before the first exam, it has to be accepted under certain conditions. For instance, if we obtain a measurement totally outside of the upper limit in the above example at, let's say, 45 milliliters per square meter, there would be no doubt. The patient would be right here, totally outside of the curve. And what about the patients inside the curve, or mildly outside? Remember that 2.5% of the normal population are outside the curve, higher than the upper limit. Is there a solution to this problem? Sure. What I have to do is to compare the visual size of the known structures in all the views you obtain by 2D echo. The subcostal for jumpers usually is the better one. I would go further. It may be compared also with the size of the 2D triangle of the image scan that contains the cardiac structures you want to know if they are abnormal or not. In the case of left atrium, see how it is in several views, since it may be normal size by measurement, and also by just looking in a long X and be enlarged in apical views or mainly in a subcostal view. Compare it with all the structures that are also in the same view and with the size of the scan triangle. Watch its form. Is it round shaped or the walls look parallel to each other? Is the atrial septum bulging toward the right atrium? Does its posterior wall go beyond the posterior wall of the right atrium? What's its size compared with the aorta? Just by looking, please. no measurements. Compare the left atrium with all the heart size seen inside the 2D triangle. Doesn't need much experience to size any cardiac structure, as we will see in other lectures. Take-home message. Minimal values higher than the upper limit may still be normal if there is no noticeable enlargement by any 2D view. Analyze for size, thickness, movement, function, and what have you by visual inspection. Then do the measurements. Any discrepancy, review everything. Don't say that visual inspection is subjective and you need an objective measurement. There are no objective measurements. You will always use your subjectivity while doing a measurement. No matter if it is a planimetry or a simple diameter, the image you choose, gain, obliquity, lateral resolution, the place where you put your cursor, the correct identification of the borders, false tendons, side lobes, trabeculations, and several other causes may give you false numbers. The problem is that clinical cardiologists may not know all the possibilities of mistake, and they do believe in measurements. How do I proceed then? I say the measure is such, within normal limits. However, by visual inspection, the cavity is enlarged. Mildly, moderate, or even grossly. And I'll add, it is necessary clinical correlation to this information. And I would also add, the visual inspection is more reliable than the measurements.